Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts in Whitehorse. It is budget day in the Yukon. The Yukon government tabled its first full budget since it was elected last fall. It's worth $2.46 billion and projected to run an $82 million deficit, something Yukon's premier does not seem happy about. So for more on this, I'm joined live by TJ Deer. TJ, what's the government's basis for this budget?
Well, the Yukon government is saying that the territory's debt level had a major role in this budget. The territory's debt cap is currently at $1.2 billion. That's a limit set by the federal government. Now, Yukon Premier and Finance Minister Curry Dixon said he's requested Ottawa to increase the limit because the Yukon's debt level is at roughly $900 million currently. YG officials say because of the rising debt, there's only so much room to work with. And the government is saying that there was a heavy increase in spending from the 2023-24 fiscal year onwards, and that more spending is forecasted until the 26-27 fiscal year. Interestingly, the government is saying that borrowed funds have been used for government operations instead of capital spending. I asked Premier Dixon what reasons was the borrowed money spent and how much was spent on operating expenses. He said that any borrowed funds are counted as revenue.
You can't allocate one amount of borrowing to one particular project. You can when there's unique, like when a corporation borrows, say the Yukon Hospital Corporation was to take on debt to expand the hospital, you can attribute that debt to that project. But when the government, as we've done over the last year, takes on debt generally, that money just goes into general revenue. So any program, any activity that was undertaken by the Yukon government over the past 4.5 years was relying on debt in some way.
So there's no way to know which parts of the government received borrowed funds and which ones didn't. And if the debt limit is passed, Dixon said that the federal government would very likely intervene in the territory's affairs. But he said the cap must not be breached, and that if it is, it would mean a fundamental change to how the Yukon government works.
Okay, so Dixon says that right now we're in a bit of a precarious position. Things are in a bit of a precarious position. What's something that could put the territory into an even worse position?
Well, one thing that's included in this budget that wasn't included in the last few years is a contingency fund. It's worth $100 million, and it's designed for unforeseen spending on things such as wildfire relief. Now, the fund has been increased by $25 million for this year. Dixon said in his budget address that the fund is being included in the budget so that they don't have to go back to the legislature and request extra funds through supplementary budgets. There's also the global situation that will no doubt have an impact on YG's economic outlook. One YG official said they're more concerned about the ongoing situation in the Middle East than the tariffs that are being implemented by the White House.
Okay, so TJ, deficit budgets often mean cuts. What did the government have to say about that?
Well, they're saying that there won't be cuts to government services or government jobs, at least for now. Whether or not cuts are included in future budgets obviously remains to be seen. This is a majority government after all, and they have at least 3 more budgets to table. But YG officials will be reviewing every government program within the next year before switching to a plan to review each program every 5 years. They're saying the plan is to improve the efficiency and delivery of government programs.
So then what is the opposition saying about all of this?
Well, opposition leader Kate White said the NDP doesn't see the connection between what Dixon said in his budget address in the legislature and what's actually in the budget. She said that there's a lot of questions that they will ask of the government, but that the biggest question is how this budget will support Yukoners.
How does this support, you and me and everybody else in the Yukon? How does it support them? The Yukon Party was able to prioritize an extra $500,000, $500,000, to go onto an already like $1.5 million budget for mining roads to open it early. So that was a decision they made, right? They could have put $500,000 towards transit tickets. They chose not to. And so how does this budget support Yukoners? And that's what we're going to ask them for the next 30-ish days.
So that's what the opposition is waiting to hear from the government about. And there are a lot of issues that need addressing: housing, crime, cost of living, just to name a few. And that's what's going to be the bulk of the focus over the course of the sitting.
Okay, TJ, thank you so much for all your work on this.
You're welcome.
Trial in the Yukon Supreme Court has come to a close. Seth Boss is accused of killing Anthony Promozic in Haines Junction 4 years ago. Gabrielle Plonka reports.
About 40 people packed into this courthouse yesterday to listen to the last day of submissions. The family and friends of both Seth Boss and Anthony Promozic were here. The trial lasted 3 weeks and overlapped with the 4-year anniversary of Promozic's death. Promozic was found dead in his Haines Junction home on March 9th, 2022. He died of multiple blunt and sharp force injuries to his head, neck, and chest. Seth Boss, who was visiting family from Lower Post, BC, was ultimately found responsible. Boss has already admitted he ended Promozic's life. The question at stake is whether it was second-degree murder or manslaughter. He was charged with the former, which carries a mandatory life sentence, and he pleaded guilty to the latter, which is a lesser charge. The court heard that Boss and Promozic were drinking together the night of Promozic's death. Defense lawyer Jennifer Budgell submitted Boss was in a state of advanced intoxication and incapable of making decisions with intention. She said Boss had no issue with Promozic and no motive to hurt him and essentially didn't know what he was doing. The Crown prosecutor argued that Boss was not too drunk to appreciate that this attack could be deadly because of how brutal it was. The decision date will be scheduled in court at the end of the month. Gabrielle Plonka, CBC News, Whitehorse.
To Dawson City, Yukon now, where the former Clinton Creek asbestos mine will soon begin its biggest construction project since shutting down in 1978. Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs Canada, or CERNAC, gave an update on the project to Dawson residents. Over the next 3 years, CERNAC says 1.4 kilometers of the mine's channel will be reinforced to prevent erosion and other risks associated with elevated flooding in the area. It's also planning to lower Hudson Lake by 4 meters. The Toronto government is working with CERNAC to determine reclamation goals for the site.
We want to increase safety of the site so that our citizens can return to the area and rebuild their connections with this very culturally important site. We also want to ensure that fish are able to pass through the creek into the lake and beyond, such as they were before the mine was there. And then third and finally, we want to ensure that citizens are able to benefit from any construction and maintenance activities at the site.
McCulley says the area was often used by First Nations for traveling to and from what is now Alaska, and to the present-day 40-mile town site used for cultural gatherings. CERNAC says the estimated cost for the next 3 years of construction is between $20 to $30 million. Work is currently planned to begin this summer. The Grays Bay Road and Port project is facing a setback. The agency responsible for approving the project's environmental impact statement says it needs more work. That impact statement runs thousands of pages. The Nunavut Impact Review Board, or NIRB, says it needs to be easier to find information. It also says there are details missing, including how the project will address concerns about impacts on wildlife and the effects of development in the region. West Kitamute Resources is the developer behind the project. It says it hoped the statement would go through, but it's working hard to address NIRB's concerns. West Kitamute Resources has until March 30th to share when it can provide a revised impact statement. The legal representative for Inuit in Nunavut will hold its presidential election sooner this year. Nunavut Incorporated, or NTI, will change its election date from December to May. The acting president of NTI says the move is partially meant to help manage an intense workload.
It's a bit too much for one person to do all the work, and it's not impossible, but it can take a toll, and we need to have somebody there to work with the president and vice versa.
Ingot also says there's a new urgency to elect a president due to increased international attention on the Arctic. Ingot says he'll return to his duties as vice president after the election. The nomination period for presidential candidates closes 6 weeks before Election Day. Sean Smith has been re-elected chief of the Kwanlin Dun First Nation in Whitehorse. He was first elected chief of Yukon's biggest First Nation in 2023. Citizens voted on Wednesday. Smith was running against one other candidate, Darlene Smith. The two are not related. Sean Smith got 94 more votes than Darlene. Here he is talking about his win with the host of CBC Yukon's Midday Cafe, Leonard Linklater.
Well, in their language, there's a term called "enna kwaja," which means I'm feeling good, but I'm really tired. And just appreciate the support to do this important work in implementing our modern treaty nation, our self-government agreement, and to work with governments of the day at the federal level and the territorial level, and with our community, to achieve those things that we set out in our vision and our different pieces of work that comes together involving our self-government model. And I think it's just awesome and amazing, and I acknowledge all the previous work over the last 21 years. It's been roughly almost 21 years since we've been self-governing First Nation. April 1st will be that 21-year mark. So it's definitely exciting. Yeah.
According to returning officer Tanya Silverfox, 54% of eligible citizens voted in the election. A group of Inuvik youth are learning how to design and print their own apparel. The program is offered through the Inuvik Native Band. It's a 7-week course that aims to build skills and new businesses. The CBC's Des Loreen has more.
7 Inuvik youth are now skilled in graphic design. It's all thanks to a program supported by the Inuvik Native Band and local business Dome Homes Incorporated.
I hope they build community with each other, like looking around this space, like everyone's so separated, but they're each doing their own thing. They're bonding, they're creating, they're learning new things.
The participants are developing skills in making their own digital graphics and logos, and then putting them on clothing like sweaters and t-shirts.
Now the creative part is for some is easier than others, and it's also like trying to be unique and add their own spin. It's what they're like now focusing on, which is the fun part for me to watch. Use their tools that they were given to like make their own thing and things that I would have never thought about creating, which is a lot of fun.
The program is being held at the Innovate Center. The Inuvik Native Band says it's hoping to host more workshops like these to encourage local artists.
We were hoping, because I don't think a lot of people know about the resources here, and we see so much potential in the community. We see so much inspiration and so much imagination. We just wanted to bring something supportive and with so much different resources to life.
The program wraps up next week. Build Again says he hopes to continue to teach more people these skills. Des Loreen, CBC News, Inuvik.
Let's do this, guys. Getting ready for a game means being ready for anything. You have to be ready off the ice, too. That's why I remember 988, Canada's suicide crisis helpline. Anyone can call or text for free, confidential support from a trained responder. Like a spare stick? It's a good thing to have handy, just in case.
If you experienced harm while admitted to a federal Indian hospital between 1936 and 1981, you might be eligible for compensation. The claims period is now open. Free supports are available to help you submit your claim. Learn more at www.ihsettlement.ca or call 1-888-592-9101.
The number of non-permanent residents across the country has gone down, except in Nunavut. That's despite the federal government cutting back on immigration in recent years. As of January, there were just over 300 non-permanent residents in Nunavut. That's up 25% from the same time last year, according to new figures from Statistics Canada. Carrefour Nunavut is an economic development organization that works closely with newcomers. It says there are many job vacancies in Nunavut to fill, but understands the friction around the issue.
It could probably influence a lot of tension among the community also because of the cultural differences, lack of housing.
Avas says many newcomers are hardworking and respectful, and he urges people to come together and celebrate differences. The Canada Nunavut Housing Benefit launched in December of last year, and now more than 100 households across the territory are receiving support through the benefit. It provides $600 each month. The minister responsible for the Nunavut Housing Corporation says the benefit is meant to provide direct support to homeowners and reduce financial pressures.
Homeownership is one of the most meaningful steps a family can take toward long-term stability and independence. Our government wants to see more Nunavummiut own their homes, build equity, and put down roots in their communities.
Lyle says there have been 208 applications since the program launched. 139 households have been approved for funding as of March. We've been telling you this week about high gas prices here in the north. Those costs are being felt nationwide. The issue is largely due to Iran blocking the Strait of Hormuz. The CBC's Andrew Chang tells us more about why the conflict is affecting an oil-rich nation like Canada.
How does an oil blockage halfway around the world in the Middle East affect the price of gas here in Canada so quickly? Like, almost none of the oil that tankers carry through this tiny little waterway that Iran has blocked even comes to Canada. The vast majority goes to Asia. And yet, gas prices here up and up and up. What is that invisible string that connects the two things?
Iran continues to threaten to strike any ship that travels through the crucial strait.
What this does is drives up the cost of oil and ultimately the price that people pay at the pump.
There are at least dozens of tankers waiting to enter the Strait of Hormuz, and there are literally hundreds of ships inside the Persian Gulf trying to get oil out of that area.
Those ships, they represent bits and pieces of a much larger machine that can move oil from basically any country to any country. So the global oil market is a bit like a swimming pool. Whether oil is pumped into the pool by Canada, the US, or Saudi Arabia, it's all going into the same place, onto the same market. And countries around the world draw from the same place, the same market as well. That's the global supply of oil. But let's say one giant pipe suddenly gets blocked, like oil tankers unable to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. The water level for everybody drops. And that makes the value of that commodity, oil in this case, go up.
A major supply disruption anywhere translates into a price increase everywhere.
As for why that price increases so quickly, gas stations, they're not charging you what they paid for the gas you're pumping. They're charging you for what it'll cost them to replace the gas you're pumping.
It's the CBC's Andrew Chang. Alberta is moving to restrict access for medical assistance in dying. It's tabled new legislation meant partly to get ahead of a possible expansion of the program by banning advance consent and denying access to people suffering solely from mental illness. Julia Wong has more on the province's plan and the reactions to it.
Alberta could soon be the first province in Canada to limit access to medical assistance in dying, also known as MAID.
This legislation will ensure that medical assistance in dying is used only as an option of last resort. Hope should always be easier to access than death.
If passed, Albertans would only be able to access MAID if death is reasonably foreseeable within 12 months. It would be banned for those whose sole condition is a mental illness, something not currently allowed in Canada, but is being studied by Parliament. Practitioners won't be able to initiate conversations about MAID with a patient, and there would be restrictions on information displayed in healthcare facilities. The province calls the measures safeguards, coming before Ottawa could expand eligibility around mental health.
These escalating factors put the safety and well-being of vulnerable individuals at far too grave a risk. So our government is acting now.
Some mental health and disability advocates are relieved.
Well, we absolutely welcome the introduction of this bill. It is going to save lives. This is important legislation that recognizes their equal worth and value.
But others argue the proposed measures are too restrictive. Tanya Stilson's father, John, suffered for years from chronic debilitating pain. In 2023, he accessed MAID.
My dad didn't want to die. He just didn't want to continue to live and decline the way life was unfolding for him.
She says the implications for Albertans are huge.
Their choice is restricted. And for that to be removed for them is just completely illogical, is what my dad would say.
MAID advocates say Bill 18 is draconian.
People who are in this position of wanting MAID, they are suffering intolerably and they want to end their lives. I feel that we should have compassion for those people and not make this option even harder than it already is.
The province says it is not invoking the notwithstanding clause, which allows governments to temporarily override charter rights, but it is prepared to defend the law in court if needed. Before this bill was tabled, a spokesperson for the federal justice minister says provinces have jurisdiction over healthcare delivery and can develop their own frameworks around MAID. But one health policy professor we spoke to says this will likely end up in court, no matter what, whether it's Ottawa or MAID advocates.
That was the CBC's Julia Wong. NASA has been testing new technology in Labrador that could change how we can predict severe weather. The research was based out of 5 Wing Goose Bay, a Canadian Forces base, over the last 2 months. The CBC's Ashley Brauweiler has more.
Here in Hangar 8 at 5 Wing Goose Bay, I'm about to take you aboard a NASA aircraft that is going to fly into the atmosphere's most unpredictable regions and do what most planes avoid: fly directly into dangerous weather.
High above the Arctic, where the atmosphere is largely unmeasured, scientists are chasing storms before they're even born. It's all part of a major research mission led by NASA called NURTURE, short for the North American Upstream Feature Resolving and Tropopause Uncertainty Reconnaissance Experiment. The goal? Improve winter weather forecasting. This modified Gulfstream 3 isn't carrying passengers. It's packed with cutting-edge technology designed to fill critical gaps in weather data, especially across northern Canada and the North Atlantic.
We are not the operational side of the weather. We don't give you your day-to-day forecasts. In the United States, we have the National Weather Service that does that. But what we really do is develop new and innovative technologies to understand how the Earth works.
Weather satellites orbit hundreds of kilometers above Earth, and observation sites on the ground can't move. But this aircraft bridges the gap, flying about 12 kilometers high directly over the jet stream. On board, a powerful LiDAR system.
It's a laser that is tuned to 2 frequencies. One is a green light that we use to kind of measure dust and particulates and clouds in the airs. And then the other is a water vapor. So that gives us really fine vertical structures of water vapor that really no other instruments on the planet can measure.
That detail matters because the models often get it wrong, and water vapor is one of the most important drivers of storm development. You've likely heard of the polar vortex. It's around every winter and is a pool of frigid Arctic air held in place at the poles by the jet stream. These scientists are tracking small but powerful features called tropospheric polar vortices. Those are mini spin-offs of the larger polar vortex.
They have very big impacts on high impact weather. They are important for developing cold air masses that will then travel and move southwards to places that don't usually experience the cold air. They also can be involved with helping develop individual storms, the ones that do produce the clouds and the precipitation and the snowfall that you experience.
The team even drops smaller weather instruments called dropsondes out of the back of the airplane.
It's basically a thermometer and a hydrometer that measures the temperature and water vapor, and we drop it out of the airplane. So it's a real direct measurement that just falls through the atmosphere. We get the measurements directly on the plane. We upload them via satellite to basically all the national modeling centers around the world. So your Canadian models, our American models, these data actually go straight into the model immediately.
A radar system on board scans clouds, precipitation, ice crystals, even vertical motion. Together, the LiDAR and radar create a full picture of vapor, liquid, and ice, helping to better understand the tropospheric polar vortices.
So when our models are over-predicting moisture, it means that everywhere is warmer than it should be. And so what that does is that actually acts to weaken our TPVs. So the model thinks that the TPVs are weaker than they really are because it's predicting more moisture than it should be.
And that difference explains why forecasts sometimes miss major winter storms 3 or 4 days out.
You really need to start your weather prediction cycle with the most accurate state of the atmosphere. So anything we can put in there to accurately depict that will help the models go in the right direction.
Some vortices fizzle. Others turn into powerful storms, the kind that bury us here in Newfoundland and Labrador, or send Arctic air deep into the United States. By studying the storms upstream before they intensify, Nurture aims to reduce forecast uncertainty and improve winter storm prediction across North America and even Europe. Because sometimes to understand the weather, you have to fly straight into it.
And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts in Whitehorse. Have a good night.